Look, I have never for one moment doubted that Kyrie Irving would be back with the Nets next season. The question was just, is he back on a one-year deal or is he back on a max extension or some type of extension? If I'm a Nets fan, I am dying to have Kyrie Irving back on the team next season. With Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, throw in Seth Curry and some of the other players, that is a team, for all the issues that they may have, that's a team that can compete for the Eastern Conference Championship. There's no doubt about it. Now, the problem is, or the issue is an extension for Kyrie. Like, I want to see Kyrie, Nick, on a one-year deal. Show me you're all in. Show me you can play the majority of the season and that, see what type of team we can be with you playing games. The extension, I obviously would not want to give him a long-term max extension. But the article presented all types of options. So it presented options like, say you give him a 3-year extension with incentives. That's incentive laden. So if he plays 60 games, for the first 2 seasons, the 3rd year he gets the max. So it could be a max extension potentially, but he's got to play a certain number of games. Not obviously he could get injured and that's a different thing. But based on games played, I think an incentive-laden extension, I'm okay with that. As long as it has clauses that say he has to play a certain number of games for him to get these, the max money whatever it is. So I'm fine with him being back. I don't want to give him a max with no conditions, but I'm fine if there's incentives based. If it's incentive based.
But those conditions would be minimal financial repercussions. Yes, they can put, likely and unlikely to be earned incentives based on games played benchmarks. I don't think they can differentiate whether it's due to injury or due to unpaid leave or due to insurrection at the Capitol or due to the phase of the moon. I think it's just whether you played or you didn't. But whatever it is, that would be percentages of the contract, not the bulk of it. And the idea that Kyrie Irving is not, I think it's insane to think, and with respect to the writer of the article, that Kyrie's going to opt in. I know Brew has said that's what he would want. If he were the Nets, that's what he would want them to do. Right. But in a world where De'Aaron Fox and Tobias Harris and Kristaps Porzingis all make between $30 and $35 million a year, the idea that Kyrie Irving is not going to opt out and say, yeah, I'll take at least 3 years at least $35 million per, I think it's crazy. I would be shocked if he doesn't do that. And so I think the Nets are going to be in a rough spot because they can't afford to let him walk for nothing. There's no great trade options out there because teams know Kyrie wants to be in Brooklyn. And he has the leverage of, are you going to squander another, the waning years of Kevin Durant's prime? I am, though, Wilds, quickly excited for next season because, oh, man, the Clippers getting Kawhi back healthy, the Nets, we always know what's the best year for the Nets next year. It's always next year. It's going to be Christmas in October for Chris Broussard with his beloved Clippers and his beloved Nets for a moment. He already has the visions of it dancing in his head. He's like with Seth Curry and Ben Simmons, who, if you need to watch him play basketball, I have some microfiche that you can look up at your local public library from the last time he did. So, I mean, Wilds Brew is excited, and I'm excited.
Bravo, Nick.
You mock.
Bravo, Nick.
You mock.
That was fun.
Clutch client. Everybody settle down. Clutch guy. All right. I mean, the elephant in the room is that Kyrie Irving needs to play. And Broussard, I'll give a little soliloquy, and then I'll throw this question to you. How many games do you expect Kyrie to play next year with Ben Simmons? So I'll ponder that, and here's what I'm going to say. Over the last 3 years, Kyrie has played 103 regular season games, about 46%, according to Dusty. Now, we tried to put that into some sort of metaphor to where can it go. That is, if you got a trip, if you bought a bus ticket from Barclays to L.A., and your bus driver went 46% of the way, you basically end up a little bit west of Kansas City. Yeah, you got like, we're here. Wasn't that a successful bus ride? You're like, no. Yeah. To be honest with you, it's not. We're actually pretty far away. And I know it's like, well, he was injured and, the COVID thing. Other superstars who are demanding a ton of money are playing a ton of games. Book in that same span where Kyrie played 103, Booker played 205. The Joker played 219. So, it's just a matter of Kyrie showing up and playing. So now the question goes back to you, Broussard. How many games do you expect Ben Simmons and Kyrie to be on the floor at the same time next year?
How's this for an answer? Not 82. Is that work? I'm thinking, look,
okay, sure.
50-ish. I hate to even say this, but 50-ish. I mean, being realistic, 50-ish.
Okay.
And here, look, I do think, Nick,
higher than I thought.
The Nets are in position to play some hardball. I don't want to play, I don't want to embarrass Kyrie and upset Kyrie. He still has to play for me. So I don't think you play complete hardball, but I do think you have the leverage where you can say, look, opt in. We'll give you maybe a 2-year extension with these incentives. And I actually like what you said. I'd rather it not be based on injuries or mental health days or whatever. You got to play this many games to get this much money, injury, whatever. I like that. And here's why I think the Nets have the leverage, Nick. What's Kyrie's leverage? Unless Kevin Durant goes and demands a trade if Kyrie's not given the max, I don't think Kyrie has much leverage because you said they can't let him walk for nothing. Where's he walking to? Detroit? We know the teams, Indiana, Portland, Orlando, and the Spurs. None of them are signing him the max, right?
No,
so at the very least, it would be a sign and trade. Yeah, but at the very least, it's probably a sign and trade. If you're talking about, because no teams are going to totally clear all their room to get Kyrie. You just said it yourself. He doesn't have much leverage because of all his eccentricities, but also because everyone knows he wants to be in Brooklyn. And if he is a question mark as far as showing up in a place he wants to be, how much of a question mark will he be elsewhere? I'm not saying teams wouldn't sign him at all, but they will do the same thing the Nets can do, which is give you incentive-based or a shorter deal than the full 4 or 5 year max.
I will tell you, you should put your hopes and dreams that Kyrie opts into this deal and takes 1 year in the same bucket Wild's put Russ magically become a good free throw shooter again and play good defense. It sounds fun. It has no chance of happening.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.